to hear from those who have achieved, who have made great achievements, how they got there, and what they would want young women to know so that they can also um, achieve the same things or even more. I believe that we stand on the shoulders of giants, which means that wherever one generation stops, the next generation will take it further from there. So let's start with the Vice-Chancellor, and I think we'll go around and just ask each person to sort of speak to how they got where they are and what message they want younger people to keep in mind. Okay? Well, so you got to show those.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks very much. Kathy, like you, I used to feel in the past that we didn't have to fight for women's rights. I've changed my mind. And there are a couple of things that I reflect on that have made me change my mind. I went to a federal government college, what is called the Unity School. And somebody was, when Shola was giving the opening remarks, she mentioned about growing up in an up and how, people talk about at any age get married. I saw it happen. Because by form three, some of my classmates were not coming back. I will ask some people, one of them, and they will tell story. By the time we got to, I don't know what it's called now, but the last year of living, which was form five, when we were aspiring, I want to be this, I want to be that, a number of them from some regions of the country had no such dreams. They couldn't dare to dream because they knew it was something that would never be achieved. And as we were leaving school and we were saying, I can't believe sorry, because they didn't, they hadn't even, reflected on what they wanted to do because they thought it was an impossibility. And then I went into banking before I joined the business school. And in the course of my career, I have seen the fact that women remain marginalized in several respects. It's not a pleasant example, but I'll give an example from Lagos Business School. I remember once we were doing shortly after I became dean, we were doing performance appraisals for those that had, for the past year. And at the time, we had a very well qualified HR lead who we had hired from the bank. Of course, I was the only female in the room, everybody else there was a man. And as I picked up the names for appraisals, he had a list of those that were going for appraisal, and he said, "Oh, these ones don't qualify for appraisal." And I said, "Okay, why?" Some of them had not finished their probation. And then he said, "But these ones, they went on maternity leave, so they don't qualify for appraisal." And I said, "Yeah." So if they come, he said, "No, in any year people go on maternity leave, they're not, they don't qualify for promotion." And I turned to the room and I said to the people there, "I don't believe this. Somebody can work 10 months in a year, take 2 months after to go have a baby, and then you discountenance that work." And all the men in the room looked at me and said, "So that's the norm now, what are you talking about?" The subconscious bias that exists is real. And until I started to ask for why, for why, before all of them thought about it. So examples abound, and I've faced those many instances. But I've also seen, I've been fortunate and privileged that in many instances, I have been the first woman in the room. For some people, I've always thought maybe it's tokenism because everybody's doing they will need a female. And in the past, all those things they were reading out about me. I used to say, if they got me, they could tick 4 boxes. I'm, black, I'm African, I'm female, plus I'm educated, and I can talk. So they can tick all those boxes, so they can tick it there. However, I didn't let it deter me because I've always believed it doesn't matter how you come to the table. When you get to that table, make it worthwhile. So I got to be who I am as a result of these experiences, but also because of what I saw. My mother had 8 children, and the last of 8, 5 girls, 3 boys. She worked outside the home. She raised us. I don't think she did a bad job. Together with the countless relatives that lived with us. My grandmother, so I learned from her example, I learned from my sisters before me. And you know what? It's not either or. You can do both and you can manage it. But I also learned from my grandmother. One short story and I'll hand it on to you. Yeah? My grandmother was widowed at an early age, so she raised my mom as an only child. She was a petty trader in the village. So she was quite industrious. And she had two brothers. My grandma wasn't educated. Her two brothers were educated. They were like English gentlemen. And then the eldest one went to war. One of the world wars, I don't remember which one. In the years he was away, my grandma, the single mother, had built a home for herself and my mom. When her brother came back from war, obviously he had lost a lot, he'd been away all these beautiful years. He came back and then he said, how can a woman own a house and he doesn't have? And he threw my grandma and my mom out. And my grandma started up a local women's political group to fight against oppression. So we need to continue doing that because otherwise they'll marginalize it.
So just before you continue, I think you make a strong point actually because I think I was now that you say this, I was reminded I was quite really shocked in the US. The first time I heard that really for the same job, men get paid different women. I was thinking, whoa, US, So yeah, so you actually have a point there. Okay? But I like the fact that you still speak to the fact that you need to earn as individually because there's one thing is what is about globally, another thing is your own personal experience. And so yeah, you make a very strong point there about the fact that sometimes, or maybe many times, women are actually trying to advance. So please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So, in terms of here and what I'd love to encourage other young people in the world to do, I've always been in the finance industry. So, when my first job at age of 20, this was in Johannesburg, South Africa, and just progressing in the finance space. Prior to restarting my company, I used to work with China Capital. I was managing a $20 million project. This was in West Africa. I was a commercial finance manager. So one thing that I've learned that I always love to share with people is to try. When I put a phone across my face, just teaching about financial literacy on Instagram, I did not know that as of today we'll have 21 people in the workforce. I did not know that we're going to raise $500,000 US. I did not know that we're going to raise half engineering team. So with developers, back and front, I had no experience in tech. So you will never see the entire staircase from the beginning. You just really have to try. And also it's fighting that thing called shame. So when I left my job as a commercial finance manager, I didn't know what next. I was literally just taking a break. And my friends there would ask me, so because I'll do videos on Instagram with red lipstick and just say, hi, do you know what treasury bill is? Do you know what mutual money market fund is? I just teach it so passionately. It was like a bit of shit because they were asking, so what is the next plan? And I did not have a next plan, right? So sometimes like, oh no, it's just something on the side. And till one day, I was like, listen, this is it. We're building this thing out. So number one, do not let shame hold you back. Many people do not want to look small. They always want the next level to be bigger, but sometimes you might have to take a bit of a cut to go to the next level. So you have to fight shame, imaginary shame, real shame, whatever kind of shame, you have to fight shame. And number two, you have to try. I had no experience in tech. The first time we built out the product, we failed because there was nobody in-house that had the knowledge. We outsourced our entire tech team. The second time we built it, we had a CTO. Then the third time we got it right, I had a co-founder in tech. So you really never can tell on which try you're going to get it, but just continue to try and give it your best shot.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to say that as a woman of as a young girl, I remember I was an undergraduate student in the University of Nigeria. Then one day I went to my late one. I've always had this thing about I want to be independent. Like stop giving me pocket money. That was where I was driving to, right? Yeah, I was just uncomfortable collecting money. And I remember I went to my mom, my big mom, who was, a top career civil servant, and I said to her, I said, I want to start this business in school. And what business was that? I wanted to start selling ribbons in school. And have you done feasibility and blah, blah, blah? I said, yes. I really don't know how I got that idea, but I took a bus, I came to Lagos, from Soka, and you know, in Ikeja, I saw this company, and then I met the CEO, and we spoke. I said, I want to be your distributor. I was an undergraduate. You know, it's just very interesting because, you know, this is just all bringing back memories for me. And I remember I went to my mom, and in her very kind and generous nature, she gave me a seed money of 300,000. This was like over 2 decades ago. And she said, you know what this means? There's no more pocket money for you. I'm not going to pay your rent in school. I'm not going to pay your school fees. Yeah, that's it. So, and I took on the challenge. I just look at what you said. You said, don't be afraid of starting things. Did I succeed?
Yes.
No, no, it's a very big no, you know, but for somebody to have that confidence, I believe she just looked at me and said, let's even see what this girl is up to. And I don't know how many parents in the room will have this kind of confidence in our kids to say, okay, let's even give them opportunities to express themselves. But you know, over the years and looking at my career, I just found out that I'm that person who wants to start something, right? And you know, God has also played it that somehow I just find myself when a company is starting, they want to start business in Africa or in Nigeria. I'm the one that has to start. I know that's the most challenging. That phase of the business is, you know, I don't always come in where everything is all said, you just have a seat. No. You know, in some cases yes, but most of my experience has been at that startup level where you have to start things from ground zero. So, you know, and that has also kind of formed the things that I've done. And took time for my career. I'm grateful to, you know, I have a strong background in international events. I work for the major ones. So I know that I've been two times to the biggest in Africa. No, I can help them and they responded, they didn't have difficulty. And you know, that's how I started working with them and taking people across Africa to different events, people in, film and TV professionals. And I also remember 2012, I took a plane and I just went to America, to the American film market. And I wrote to the CEO and I said, I can actually help you in Africa help, you know, get this event visible. Because I mean, look at 2012, look at where we are with Hollywood and all that, right? So it's like going ahead of your time. But I took that step and they asked me, they gave me audience, you know, I mean, somebody you don't know, and I sat and we had that conversation, and I got the job. I became the Africa Relations Manager and started mobilizing Africa across different countries to go out there. And the first Focus on Africa conference they had in America, I curated it, brought all the top guys from Africa in the media space to come and speak. So why am I sharing all this? You know, I believe there are young people here, girls, ladies, and you need to be able to take steps, okay? And don't limit yourself because of where you find yourself, because you find yourself in Ibejuleti. No, the world has become a global space. Somebody said, I don't like to solve the internet, right? So how are you translating that to something that can impact your life, impact your world, impact your career and people around you? So I think that will be my take on this question. I would very slow. For me, key lessons that have helped me in my career, I would say resilience. I would say being visible. Um, I would say moving from desire when you're even self-doubting, when you're doubting, who can I do this? Is it possible? And the people around you who are reflecting that perception in you, you need to take it off. I'll give my own background story. I was a science student in secondary school. And
And the reason I was doing science was because everybody will keep doing science for the thought because that was what I was going to do. And luckily I did economics in my life. So I was able to transition to social sciences and I studied banking and finance. And I think at the 200 level, we did an elective in human resources that I really liked and I knew that's what I wanted to do. When I was doing my NYC, I knew for a fact that I didn't want to do that. I needed to get a job. So all the bank aptitude tests that were doing, I was doing GT Bank, Majority Bank at the time, um, all of them I was doing. And then someone opened the mind that they can do it. And all of that company is for the role of front desk. So I told people from the back, no, but I'm like, no, I don't know. It is step, let me go for it. I went for the interview, because of the interview, I mentioned to the head of HR at the time, who then asked for my interview, what I wanted to do. And I mentioned to her that I wanted to be a HR professional. I told her the thing that I've done with that, the trainings that I registered for, I've got the CIPF form, just things like that. Not the end of the job. And I ended up working there for 15 years. Very interesting. I think that's the highlights of the story. I worked there for 30 years. Before the end of the year, the front desk role, the front desk role I did for like 8 months. And because I had interest in data, I was consciously putting myself out there. So when they are interviewing going on, I'm the first person to call. I'm meeting with the HR officer. Please, can I have the list of the candidates that are coming, trying to make them feel comfortable and taking them into the interview, the meeting room for interviews. I'm just trying to bring myself out there and show visibility, show relevance in that. So when the expansion plan for the HR team and a need for HR business partnering, it was a no-brainer for me to be recommended for that role. So what I would say is it's very important to be visible. It's very important to do your research for what you want, know what you want, know yourself, know what skills you're trying to achieve. The rest is just remove the subconscious bias. That impostor syndrome or can't do this. It doesn't exist. There are our own strengths. Thank you.
I think after getting married, I realized that quickly that I didn't want to be a housewife. I didn't just want to sit down. I wanted how it was. I wanted to have a big house. I wanted to have a big car. I just had this feeling telling me that, you know what, it's possible. You can have it, you don't have to find that. So in 2017, I said, like, I did about 4 or 5 years. And I also walked like this. I walked for about this. Then in the end, I bought GSA, which was like 30 million of projects. I don't know how much. I was when I got it out I didn't have. So, 2017, I picked up my son and I told my husband that maybe I'll come to Nigeria. Like, my spirit is telling me that Nigeria is where I can't be in the UK because there's like a glass ceiling over there. You don't go past it. Yes, unless it's going to. And I quickly realized I wasn't going to be. I also knew that I was going to be. So I moved to Nigeria. said I'm going to do it. I'm not going to fail. So I started small, like the way your parents say you feel like you just have to do it. Like no matter what your parents are, no matter how big you are, you just need to start small. And I did start small, and it was very challenging at this point in Nigeria because people would come in, they would try and look down on you, they would just be like, why are you in a place like this? This is still like a big body. But they'll be like, oh, this is celeb clinic. Why are you in the room? Or someone will come and be like, are you sure this is where we're supposed to be? But still, we thank God because I used their money and I used all the stones they threw at me. I used it to build my castle because I knew exactly where I was going already. So I kind of put my son in a place. I did home service because at the time I couldn't actually afford to get a place in Lekki Business place. So I put my son in nursery and went Aja at the time. And I started doing home service. I only had to do home service for, I moved to Nigeria in January. I only had to do home service for like 4 weeks before I was able to get a place in Lekki Phase 1. And the place I got as well because people were kind of like, oh, this is not good enough. Nigeria is all about packaging, this and that. In 6 months, I had enough money to move to another bigger place. And within a year, we were able to have about 4 different branches. Do you understand? But that was because of the stones that were being thrown. And one more, I'll tell you about an issue that happened that helped me to progress. We're talking about Women's Day. A lot of people will look down on you as, you're a woman, maybe you have hips, you don't look so intelligent, like we have to prove people wrong all the time so that they know. I had this landlord in phase 1, and when I moved into his place, he I paid for service charge and everything like that. And but when I moved in, there was no generator. And I was like, excuse me, it's my kind of work. I deal with like laser equipment. We have to have generator working all the time. Oh, he said it's more have to be filled up before the generator comes. At this time, I had fixed all my ACs, painted all the place, so I basically spent all my money decorating the place and making it look well packaged. But now he's saying that he can't put on the generator for just me because the mall was still empty. I didn't know what to do. I fought with him, but he said, no, I don't care. He said, if you don't like it, you can leave. I wanted to cry, but I did not cry. I said I was going to use this property to become a landlady in Nigeria. So I used this property to buy 4 properties. I kept thinking about everything they said, how he said I should come out with this property, and I thought to myself, he wouldn't talk to me like that if I had my own property. So because of that, I kind of like use that to progress into my own. So those are the things that helped me. That helped me.
Okay, so I think you've had a lot of very profound and valuable nuggets about how to grow, and I think it is useful for both men and women, but we have men as well. Okay, there's a saying that goes: "If you jump up, you will come down. If you grow up, you will stay up." And we see that in every instance they have grown up. Nobody started with. So my areas of entrepreneurship, so as you were speaking, I was from a perspective, which is I always tell people, no matter how much money you have, you don't want to lose it. Start small while thinking big. For some reason, it's difficult for men to accept. I don't know why. In all the classes, they always say, "Go and be happy." But I always say that ego is the first enemy of business success. Okay? But anyway, but for women, it's a natural thing. Both ends. Everybody here has shown how, while they were still small, they have the audacity, and that's the second one, okay, to speak up. Okay? You don't have it all, but the little you have, speak up about it, and you'll be surprised that people will take it seriously, okay, and you will grow. There's a guy in school today, at 17, on LinkedIn, he told me wanted to join our business accelerator, which is actually for people already in business. And obviously, when proposed by this, I was quite surprised at this young man. I thought, hey, I like the audacity. Okay, you know what? You're too young to go to business, so I'll take you as a volunteer. I didn't know this young man was not going to go to university. But he worked with us, and he was so smart. He worked with us, he was 19. And I said to me, after watching you, I now want to go to school. I said, I'm convinced. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we took their class. They applied here. Okay, I told us that today is a student. I'm so proud of the fact that he was telling you because he's a very dynamic young man. Prosperity. Okay, amazing young man. And I see that same spirit here. Okay, imagine walking up to the CEO of different companies and saying, "I want to get a for I want to be your rep in Nigeria," and then you taking the role of a front desk officer and going through that role because you did it well, and then you using all the insults to help you grow. I mean, those are valuable knowledge. I think that will help you in any aspect of life, whether you're in the corporate world or the business world. Okay, so now, another thing I like to speak about, because we're in the digital age, there's a lot of madness about social media. And just yesterday, friend showed me something that we both, I mean, we are not even, we don't believe it. And what the mom was doing, I mean, she was selling clothes, but she was dancing. The problem, so I think that I'm not just a lot of purpose. Because at the end of the day, how do you use social media? Because all of women's rights and all of that, it's taking the wrong direction. How can we use social media in a way that maintains our dignity? I don't know, but I think how do we have a role to play? So I started to speak to the role of people in our journey. What was that vision we had? So I know you spoke about the young and all of that. But I thought there was more to play than just more than like just a nice house, a big yacht and all of that. So yeah, but what has you want? I mean, how has your purpose driven your growth in your achievements in life?
I am turning to social media.
Else, how do you see people tend to want to shop on social media? How do you shop? But not just on social media, in life in general. How do you shop? You just shop as a pretty place or you look at all. What's your growth?
Social media is absolutely amazing. You know, there's this guy is very big in the real estate industry. He's one of my clients, and one day, like, was it not like last year, we were having a chat because I'm very shy, actually. I might look bold, but I'm actually very shy, and I'm I'm pushing myself every day to try and speak and actually talk about myself and about my product on social media. It's very, very hard, actually, because I find it very hard to push it. But anyway, this guy said to me, and he's big on social media, he's always talking about real estate. He said, Bimbo, in 5 years' time, do you know that if you don't have a presence on social media, you'll be like a dead person? And I remember driving home and thinking about it. This is actually so true. The way things are going, like everything seems to be related to social media. Even me with my business, even though like I'm not exactly the face of my business, I would say over 90% of my income comes from social media. Yes, Instagram, TikTok, because billions of people use social media. So all the people, all the clients I have from London, from America, from Turkey, all the people coming in, like especially get to December, they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw you on Instagram. I saw you on Instagram. Even people that you don't expect to be on Instagram would say they saw you on Instagram, their fake accounts. So yes, that's my thing.
So my question really is, when you advertise, sell your product, or is there anything, any other ulterior motive that drives it? So for instance, you could advertise your product, I don't know, in terms of, I don't know, what's in your life. I was thinking, I could advertise it in terms of making yourself be a role model for young people, or just say beauty from
No, you can because I'm in the service industry actually. So our advert is basically is more based on like selling beauty, like selling transformations. It's not just beauty actually; it's actually health and beauty. Because we deal with women that have like PCOS and people that have like yes, exactly, non-invasive beauty treatment.
So for me, I would say social media is a blessing and it's also a curse.
I think that it's important that at some point, we shut the noise because there's so much, that can confuse you if you are not deliberate on the kind of information you're absorbing. It can confuse you. On the side, I tell Julie, and just like she said, 90% of my clients are from social media. I'm not big on social media. I don't really have a presence on social media. But for that business, it was very, very profound. Social media was very, it was like what's it called now? It helped me scale up, especially during the COVID period. It seems like everybody was just buying and buying and buying and buying. So yes, but you see so many things now, and it's important to learn to shut the noise. Learn to, as women, we're nurturers, we're leaders in our own, family, in our space. We need to be intentional about the kind of things that our children from social media. Because it's funny, the kind of things that you see. I don't know if this
So
answers the
yeah,
question.
so let me rephrase my question. So basically, we're talking now about the way we protect ourselves. So just very much like what you said. In fact, when you read the book about financial spirit, one of the about some of the ways to protect one's look for the social media. You don't see anything in the social media person. Because really, for a normal person, you should have a social media. And I've tried it and they save me. So the point I'm trying to make here is that as women, we try to protect ourselves. Okay? What would you, and it's important, okay, but how do you show up on social media? How does your sense of purpose define how you show up? Because really and truly, whether you're selling the product or not, you should stand for something. Okay? How does it help you not show up the wrong way? Like you said, it's about investment first. How can it help you be that example of, what you have a sense of purpose about your business or your career? What exactly? How do you want to show up? And how should you show up on social media? And if you have shown up personally, how have you done it?
I'd say it's just like the saying, dress the way you want to be addressed, right? Um, you have to put the information out on the way you want to be perceived. So first of all, you must have a purpose, just like you said. What's your objective? Okay, with this my LinkedIn profile, for instance. What do I want prospective hires to see when they open my page? And you work towards that. That's what I would say. Put out what you want people to see around it. Yeah, that's what
All right. So I will speak to purpose and of course I to social media. So when I started, doing the events thing I do, which is not actually my full time job. When I tell people it's not my full time, they don't understand. Yeah, it's what you call your side hustle, because it's something I'm passionate about. But how I remember years ago, in church, I was the head of the women fellowship, and I would just start organizing small conferences, looking for things for women to do, right? So I started putting all those things together, and I kept just praying and, as telling God, when you are faithful in small, you will give me my own. So, I started doing all those events, just looking for how to bring women together, and I was doing it with zero assistance. I didn't even look for the assistance. And then that was how I kept on doing that. And when it was time, at the right time, God opened the door for me to begin to do stuff abroad in America. I started in America actually before coming back to Nigeria to also have this event to elevate the film and TV industry in Nigeria. Now, how tying it into social media. The reason, when you talk about production, my dad will ask me, which film have you produced? I don't produce films, right? People do not understand that there is a part of the business. So there's the creative side and there's also the business side. So some of us who are on the business side, trying to raise money for films, trying to distribute, monetize, right? We are not actually sane because we are on the B2B side of the industry. And so I found out that because I do a lot of travels, a lot of markets, I really don't pay attention. I wasn't really paying attention to social media, putting out things that I do. And then suddenly, people kept, a lot of people just kept saying, you're not saying enough, you're not, people who are doing stuff like you, or who are not doing as much, are saying a lot. And saying a lot, in quote, is putting out stuff on social media. And I just looked at it and I said, okay, I think I need to look at what I'm doing. And then 2 years ago, I hired a social media manager to manage my personal accounts, not my business accounts, right? Because I found out that I will take videos and I'll never post them. I'll snap pictures because it's work. When you see those guys managing social media, please comment them. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. In case you think it's just to post, no. There's a lot that goes in. And I remember just last night, I hired this girl, young girl, very young, right, in December 2023. And I remember telling her yesterday night in the group, because I have a team, and I said, well done. I went to my page and I noticed that for the first time, right, she came up with this content strategy around me talking. So if you go to my page, you don't see me talking. You see a lot of things, but my voice was not being heard. And then she came up with this strategy. She went to YouTube, looked at previous videos of things that I have done, and then she would look for the controversial things I've said and pick it out. Remember last week, she sent me this video she wanted to post, and I said, I have to think, do I want to have this conversation? Because I knew that I was going to shake a table in my industry, right? So I asked her, are you sure you're ready? Are we ready for this? She said, yes, we're ready. And I can tell you that that is the best performing post in my social media handle. I don't have so many followers or millions, no. But those thousands are people who, when you post things, people are listening to you, people are following you, people are reacting. And then we are very serious on social media as well in terms of what we discuss, because we are pushing the business of film, the business of television, which a lot of people don't even understand. And we're trying to build capacity around that. So in summary, what I found out is the way you use social media matters a lot, right? If you're able to come up with a strategy that you see, I told them last night, don't reinvent the wheel. You found something that is working, just build on it. Because I don't think it's a coincidence that you made 2 posts this year and they have gotten thousands of views on social media. So it's very critical for what we are doing. I've decided to take it serious. I wasn't taking it seriously before now, but the moment I started taking it seriously and putting out the right kind of content, I've also seen how it has impacted on what I do. So yes, it's very critical.
Thank you very much. And this is really where I was going to, because on one hand,
sorry, just to add, I'm the only person who came here among the speakers and who is gathering content. Who's gathering? Who's gathering? So yes, somebody there. Yes. I said, okay, maybe there's someone else.
No, but you see, and that's useful. And I hope there's somebody in PAU who is tweeting this, because this is really important. Well, so maybe okay.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. That we have come to that point where it may seem strange that you're coming and somebody's following you, but that is the world where we are right now. I don't like it. Trust me. Yes, that's not me. That's not me. But I've also found out that for the work we do, and even for the space I find myself in, it's very important.
Yeah. So I'll just say one thing to that. And this is really the point I was trying to bring out. Because you can use social media for vain purposes, okay, wearing a new dress, meeting this, or whatever. But like my friend said, there's so much rubbish out there, and the ones who have substance to say are quiet. So we've got to push good stuff on social media. And so, again, we're talking about women having dignity. So what dignity do you project when you project yourself on social media? Because, yes, you should be present there, but how are you present? What's driving your posts? Are you just driving to show that I have a nice video, or I have a nice dress, or I'm in a nice place, or I have a message for the world that makes me relevant? Okay, that's really where I'm going to. Okay.
It's very important for us to actually have this conversation. It's very, very important because the internet never forgets, right? I started got my first job at the age of 20. This was in Johannesburg, South Africa. I just started using Twitter then. And I remember that I said something recently that people were looking for things that I said 15 years ago, and guess what? They couldn't find it. So internet never forgets. So I'm not speaking, then I respect everybody in the room, but I'm not speaking as somebody that was not close to being 20s not too long ago. So I was in my 20s tweeting. You have to be very intentional. There are times I've written things like delete and like, no, I do not, 10 years from now, would I want to associate myself with this trade? So even in the sake of banter, soft conversations, you start thinking, I told myself, so if you become the president of Nigeria tomorrow, would you want this to come out? Even right now to 30 December, out there, if I become the president of Nigeria tomorrow, would I want to align with this? So very, very early, you need to start. And they might say you're putting yourself on a pedestal, but everybody has different dreams, right? What do you dream? What do you aspire for? I got into the Young Global Leaders of World Economic Forum last year, and this year I'm on the council member for financial education in the whole world, the first Nigerian to ever be on that council by the World Economic Forum. They do their audits. Nobody wants to associate with a person that they feel like there's a tendency for you to tilt the other way. So do not get me wrong, I'm not saying mask your personality. I love my people, I love to travel, I love to eat. I love all these really nice, great things, but you have to be very intentional. Start seeing yourself in the highest mode you can possibly think of. If they were looking for this outstanding, do you have anything online that would make you think otherwise? Because you're your biggest advocate. So you might say that's just like 5% or 10% or what, but you're building, if you do not build your brand, somebody else is building it for you. And they're telling you your story. There are many times I've gone somewhere to speak and someone picks out something that I'd said in passing or they found somewhere. So trust me, the aim of this conversation is not to mute your personality, but is to be in the front line of painting and showing the world who you want them to see. And every time people keep talking about perception, perception is not to say that you are masking color orange as color black. No, we're not deceiving. We're bringing out our best self and we're showing it to the entire world. And I hope this helps. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is an unfair question because I'm a digital immigrant. These people are digital natives. So this is internet discussion and social media discussion. But let me speak to the first part of your question, which is purpose and how do you want to show up. And you know, there was something Sandra said about her first job that I want to relate to it because it's not just how you show up on social media, but it's also how you show up within the workplace, within your community, so that you can move up. You know, she spoke about taking the job as a research assistant at Lagos Business School. Of course, I worked in banking. Of course, I was overqualified for the role, but I needed a career break. I didn't have the job, so this was the next best thing that I could take, and I was happy to do so. But I was fortunate because when I came to the business school, my boss at the time, Christopher Kolade, only came to work 3 or 2 times a week. So I was jobless the rest of the time, and I was also an entrepreneur, so I could have happily used that time to do everything. Name any business, I've done it. From going to Aba to buy materials from outside in Lagos, I've done it. From catering, I've done it. From hiring chairs, the rental business, I've done it. From the only thing I didn't do was to sell pure water, because there was no pure water at that time. But I've done everything. So I could happily have used my time to do that. But because I was interested in the job I was doing, what was that in between, when my boss didn't come to work, I used to go and harass everybody in the office. Do you have anything I can help you with? Do you have anything I can do? Do you have anything I can help you with? And they would give me, and I was happy to do it because I wanted to be busy at work and I would do it. And then guess what? 6 months after I joined, they said I came from a finance background and I had a couple of years experience in that. They needed somebody in finance. And they said, you know what, why don't we offer it to this person? What had happened was that by volunteering to do things, and that's the purpose that I'm thinking about, and how do you show up, and how do you want to be seen? By volunteering, I had gotten noticed. I think this is just on reflection. I wasn't doing this with that in mind, but on reflection, if you say to me, what advice do I give to the young people? Volunteer to do this. Don't be happy when you don't have work to do. You know, and say, I thank God, at least I can go and stop the media. I think it's helped me tremendously. But those were the things I learned from home. You know, the home is, the first school. That's where we learn everything. And it was within my home that I learned things like I said, I come from a large family. It was then I learned that you can't be selfish. You have to look out for one another. And I think that that's something that is always in my consciousness, that you don't do the things. Everything that we have, or the skills that we have, everything, we should look at it as just to benefit ourselves. It's really, how can we use this to benefit others? Creating jobs, helping society in so many ways. So I learned that from my home. I learned integrity from my home. I learned contentment from my home. But my siblings and I always joke that they overtrained us because we want to do a job and want to do it well. You know, I had a mother that if she comes and you're sitting down, she must invent one work. Have you done the dishes? Yes. Have you wiped them down? Yes. Have you returned them to the cupboard? Yes. Have you put the clothes in the wash? Yes. Have you, until there's one that's no, then they will send you to go and do that one. You know, somebody said their hobby was washing plates, eh? I don't know who. You know that kind of work there. So because of that, you learn that you just have to do everything and then do it there. Those values are very important. And if I think about today, it's those same values that I bring to the workplace. One about it's not about us alone. It's about looking out for do the things that will benefit everybody because we always need to pull people along. Be someone of integrity. Your yes should be your yes. Your no, don't do like this. You know, say it as it is. And then, you know, all those things I learned from my home, I really what it is that has put me in good stead up until today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So in terms of what I've learned from the house, it has to be resilience and just being able to try. So at the age of, in my teens or before teens, my dad left Nigeria to go to Democratic Republic of Congo, French-speaking country. He started with a bicycle and then he ended up opening multiple stores in Congo. So it's just basically try, you know, explore, be adventurous and also resilient.
For me, the key value is impact, right? Don't do things just for the sake of doing it. What are the measurable outcomes? And I give a very quick example. I remember I was doing a Reiki for one of our events, and I walked into this hotel, and then the lady who attends to me, she's the lawyer or something for the hotel, and then we were talking, and then we, you know, had very good conversations. And okay, I'm not using this hotel, I'm using that other hotel, but you know, why don't you come? I want to give you a badge. Just come, don't pay. Come listen to the conversations. Because I noticed that she was a bit inclined in script writing. And I said, why don't you come network, meet producers and stuff like that? And, you know, she came. Now, I saw her in London last year at one of our events, and then she came to me and she was just like praying. She said, do you know that after I met people, because we had a delegation from the UK that year, I remember, and she met people, she connected, and then she submitted, the British Council was doing something to empower young filmmakers, and she submitted, remember she works in the hotel, right? And then she was one of the 10 that were selected, and her film was being screened. See the journey, and she said, oh, I can't tell this story, I can't tell my story, you know, without mentioning how you walked into a hotel, and then you gave me this opportunity to come, listen to conversation, and then I networked and met people, and then there was, you know, an opening for people to make submissions. I submitted, and out of so many applications, I was selected, and she got seed money to make that film, yes, and then at the end of the day, her film was being screened. So, you know, for me, impact, and these are the things that really, you know, are very, very touchy for me. Because seeing producers, filmmakers succeed, that's my success. Because at the end of the day, we brought people together, I do events, I connect people. In fact, recently, last week, I saw an American company and a Nigerian company saying that they're doing something together. And I said to someone, it was in Paris, our event in Paris, that they came, and they met, and today, they are making an announcement, and I'm looking, right? I've done the event, I've walked away, but you see what is going on behind. I didn't even know until I went on social media and I saw an announcement. So for me, impact is very, very critical. Let's not chase clouds, because this is the generation of chasing cloud chasing and validation. At the end of the day, when you sit back, ask yourself, what have I actually achieved? How have I been able to impact people? How have I been able to impact my community? That is very critical for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just before you continue, let me just quickly sort of loud that, because this is really the age of chasing clouds. And the truth is, you don't get clouds because you're chasing clouds. You get clouds when you're more authentic about impact. It's much more attractive, and people can detect authenticity from fake cloud chasing, trying to look like. Okay? A good example of this guy, I told you about my activity. Right? Well, how far he has gone. You know. And you can almost, at least for me, maybe unless I'm being fooled, you can almost talk the sincerity of his. You know, I remember when one of his slum boys died. I mean, it was In pain, he shared the whole world. The whole world felt that one of these boys is trying to change, transform their lives has died. So, really, that's it. Really, really. Okay, so, how the culture of organization actually has a strong impact on people's families and how they relate to people around them. To this desire, strong desire to keep learning, and working on ourselves, whether spiritually, physically, or even in terms of just improving our capabilities. So thank you so much. So